In her essay Towards a Posthumanist Methodology, Ferrando discusses the emerging field of posthuman studies and emphasizes the importance of reflecting on methodology within the context of posthumanism. Posthumanism is not just a theoretical concept, but a comprehensive praxis that challenges traditional dualisms, including the divide between theory and practice. The statement also highlights the need to overcome essentialist thinking and explores the interrelation between the terms posthuman and posthumanist. Ferrando proposes that posthuman theorists should engage in a critical reflection on methodology and identifies the potential risks they may encounter, particularly concerning essentialism. By adopting a posthumanist methodology, the author suggests that new ground can be established for radical reflection in applied philosophy and normative ethics. Posthumanism, distinct from transhumanism, critiques anthropocentric humanism and extends its inquiry beyond human life to encompass non-human entities such as animals, artificial intelligence, and hypothetical beings. It seeks to develop a posthuman epistemology that acknowledges non-human experiences as a source of knowledge, while advocating for environmentalism, animal rights, roboethics, and deep ecology. Posthumanism acknowledges its inherent human-centrism, recognizing that it is still theorized by and for human beings. Posthumanism challenges the ontological primacy of human existence and calls for a reassessment of practices that undermine sustainability, such as uncritical omnivorism, overharvesting, and unrestricted consumption of non-renewable resources. It does not reject the importance of human survival or individual rights, distinguishing itself from anti-humanism. Posthumanism is not strictly anti but rather post-meta-trans, avoiding simplistic polarizations. It engages with meta-narratives and metaphysics, understanding their instrumental role in intellectual and existential investigations, while remaining open to negotiation and agnostic perseverance. By revisiting the concept of being as transcendent immanence, posthumanism disrupts dualistic thinking prevalent in Western thought, such as the divisions between mind-body, subject-object, self-other, male-female, and human-animal-alien-robot. It acknowledges the expanding universe and the notion of dark energy as ontological possibilities that challenge our universe-centric perspective and may resonate with panentheism from a theological standpoint. Posthumanism also questions biocentrism and blurs the boundaries between the animate and the inanimate, drawing on a quantum approach to the physics of existence. Posthumanism, stemming from postmodernism, challenges the concept of a fixed method and instead embraces a dynamic and mutable approach. It rejects the idea of objective knowledge and absolute truth, drawing inspiration from the postmodern critique. A posthumanist methodology is not definitive but rather adaptable and sensitive, acknowledging current challenges and remaining open to possibilities. Similar to Feyerabend's against method, it is transitional and contingent in its value. A posthumanist methodology engages with various aspects of semiotics, hermeneutics, pragmatics, and metalinguistics to understand the potential consequences of its narratives on political, social, cultural, and ecological levels. It recognizes that the medium used for communication is just as significant as the message itself, echoing McLuhan's famous statement. A posthumanist methodology does not privilege written text as the primary form of expression. It recognizes that posthumanism can be performed in diverse ways. It draws inspiration from multi-sided ethnography, which adopts a diffuse time-space approach, and autoethnographic performance, which repositions the self and the body in scholarly reflection. It also finds resonance in alternative ways of transmitting history, such as oral history, proverbs, and songs. Distribution and divulgation are integral to a posthumanist methodology. It aligns with the principles of Creative Commons and open source initiatives, advocating for knowledge to be shared and accessible to future generations, thus contributing to the preservation of cultural heritage. Posthumanism emerged from a radical deconstruction of the concept of the human that originated as a political movement in the 1960s, evolved into an academic endeavor in the 1970s, and developed into an epistemological approach in the 1990s. This movement allowed previously marginalized groups to articulate their own narratives, leading to a proliferation of discourses and perspectives. The inclusive nature of posthumanism, encompassing animals and other forms of life, is rooted in the recognition that diversity is inherent within the human species, encompassing various gendered, racial, ethnic, social, and individual identities. Difference is at the core of posthumanism, and erasing it in practice would undermine its theoretical foundations. Posthumanism is a decentralized perspective that challenges the notion of specific types of humans, symbolically representing humanity as a whole. It also rejects epistemological primacy assigned to any particular species. Posthumanism acknowledges the historical elitism and ad hoc methodologies employed in academia for knowledge production, and seeks to develop alternative cultural practices. However, a posthumanist methodology faces risks, such as the potential flattening of difference and the difficulty of including non-human voices. Currently, engaging with non-human perspectives is limited, primarily relying on humans reflecting empathetically in an as-if manner. In the future, advancements in biological AI and advanced robotics may enable non-human entities to express their phenomenological experiences in a human-accessible code, challenging human solipsism and facilitating the development of an actual posthuman methodology. While acknowledging the possibilities related to non-human perspectives, it is crucial for posthumanist texts to encompass the full spectrum of the human experience. This can be achieved by quoting theorists and thinkers from diverse backgrounds and disciplines, offering alternative standpoints, and adopting an intersectional approach that considers the margins and the center of historical representation. However, there is a methodological fallacy prevalent in current posthumanist discourse and literature, where the openness and inclusiveness of the posthuman approach are lost by exclusively referring to hegemonic traditions. This tendency is evident in the selection of references, particularly within the written tradition, although similar practices may exist in other semiotic conventions. Hegemonic essentialism refers to the common practice of only referencing thinkers, artists, or theorists who belong to the dominant cultural group. When a text adheres to these standards, it may claim to have a posthuman content, but fails to embody posthumanism in practice. This contradiction arises from attempting to critique humanism, while simultaneously positioning itself within the same traditions that gave rise to humanism. By limiting its approach in this way, the text reinforces certainty and hinders the pursuit of epistemological pluralism. In the field of posthuman studies, A prevalent example of hegemonic essentialism is a text that exclusively quotes white male intellectuals. Such texts often fail to situate their standpoints and present them as neutral and universally applicable, even if the writer is unaware of the political implications. This type of content perpetuates a subliminal racist and sexist methodology, implying that the contributions of female and non-white thinkers are not deemed relevant enough to be acknowledged. When confronted, academics who fall into this habit often offer explanations such as, "These were the only theorists I could quote, and they happen to be white and male." While essentialism is often associated with a hegemonic standpoint, it can also emerge from a place of resistance. This alternative form of essentialism, referred to as resistant essentialism, is less common. It still raises the issue of setting boundaries that may not align with the posthuman approach, unless reconciled for strategic purposes. Posthumanism has its roots in the deconstruction of the human by marginalized groups such as women, people of color, LGBTQ individuals, and differently abled people. These outsiders challenged the hegemonic discourse from the margins, the back door, or the closet as a means of protecting their ontological survival. Their efforts were instrumental in constructing a genealogy of knowledge that recognized and validated their existence. In response to the dominant intellectual discourse, and in an effort to provide space for voices that would otherwise be silenced, they often resorted to producing essentialist accounts, such as women-only or black-only perspectives. The two types of essentialism, hegemonic and resistant, carry different theoretical and methodological risks. Resistant essentialist accounts emerged in the West since the 1970s and were developed by theorists who were deeply conscious of the hegemonic discourses they resisted. These theorists strategically positioned themselves as a response to the universalism of traditional writings, shaping critical tools that contributed to the deconstruction of the human embraced by posthumanism. Their perspectives should be integrated and explored within the posthuman approach to offer more comprehensive narratives. In contrast, hegemonic essentialist accounts, typically privileging the symbolic Western white man, have existed since the dawn of recorded civilization and have often been presented as objective truth. These accounts have demonstrated resilience, surviving their own deconstruction and critical scrutiny. Therefore, it is crucial to be vigilant in avoiding the reproduction of such accounts. Embracing the white male essentialist mode leads to illusory intellectual comfort and reinforces the status quo, hindering the transformative potential of the posthuman perspective. Posthumanism should not align itself exclusively with either the hegemonic or resistant stance. Instead, it should foster a dynamic openness that reflects its intellectual and existential inquiry. If posthuman theorists genuinely aspire to envision a future, they must acknowledge that the future is already unfolding and recognize that any biases or preconceptions will impede their ability to perceive it accurately. In conclusion, posthumanism should not merely pay lip service to a trendy academic trend, but should genuinely embody its profound meanings and ambitious purposes. To achieve this, posthumanism must embrace the full spectrum of the human experience, allowing for the inclusion of non-human perspectives and remaining open to unknown possibilities. Such inclusiveness should be reflected in its research methods. A posthumanist methodology should not be confined to exclusive traditions of thought or rely on hegemonic or resistant essentialist narratives. It should be dynamic and adaptable, embracing pluralistic epistemological accounts. This pursuit of diverse perspectives is not driven by external demands of political correctness, but is necessary to cultivate more comprehensive and unbiased understandings. By aligning with a posthuman future that challenges human comprehension, posthumanism can evolve into a mode of existential inquiry that extends beyond academia and informs everyday life.